Ready for the show? Let's do this. Let's do this, guy. Hello everyone, welcome for this new episode of the ESO News. We are the 21 February 2018 and today we have to talk about obviously all those very interesting things. First of all, Dragonbones had been released the 7th February, so it's 2 weeks in now, and for console it's planned for the 25 or the 27th. I'm sorry, I do not have my date right now, but it's soon.
Yeah, I believe it's the 27th, which would make it next Tuesday for console players. But let's just jump straight in then, talk about Dragonbones, more specifically the release. So, as Elloa just mentioned, it came out on the 6th or the 7th of February. Most of you who are at least waiting for it at the time will remember the extremely long downtime, for EU players more than NA players. I think the EU servers were down for over 12 hours initially, and in addition to that, then they had to take them down again when a pretty massive XP exploit was found. I don't know if any of you guys are aware of this, but there was an exploit where players could earn millions of experience just for killing a simple trash mob. Multiple champion points just for killing, a beetle or whatever. Now, this was good and bad news, I guess. I mean, the people who took advantage of this to, drastically level up their characters are in for a bit of a shock because a lot of them got suspended. In total, there was 276 PC accounts that were found to be abusing it. And they've been suspended till the 5th of March, so they're going to be without ESO for a couple of weeks. There were players who, might have been doing it by accident or might not have realized, so they haven't punished anybody, but the people who are obviously abusing it have been suspended.
It's quite interesting because there had been some dispute about that. Some players saying that they were unfairly treated and that they had been unjustified. It was unjustified to ban them. But honestly, if you see suddenly you're gaining champion point like this, it's obviously a problem. So if something like that happened to you guys, you need to immediately report it. That's in the condition of the Elder Scrolls Online. It is say, as a reminder to everyone, the ZeniMax term of service states that you will not exploit any bug or abuse any game system and are expected to report any discovered exploit to us. Abusing a bug will put your account at risk for suspension or permanent ban from ESO.
Yeah, I mean, just to put it into reference, at my level, or my champion point level, I have 590 champion points, so I'm not max level, but one champion point's about 370,000 XP. So with this bug, if I'd killed one trash mob, I'd get 3 champion points for every trash mob I killed. So it's hard to deny that you didn't notice that. There's no way to not notice that.
Yeah.
3 champion points every time you kill one mob. Yeah, come on.
So another things that were interesting, it's the ESO Live. The last ESO Live, the developer have shown their skill in Scale Color Veteran Hard mode, which is supposedly the hardest dungeon currently, or the hardest boss fight at least. The philosophy of the difficulty had been done that way. The normal version is made to be accessible to everyone, like usual, but as it's a DLC dungeon, it's a little bit more challenging than usual, and it has the same sort of difficulty than other normal dungeon from DLC, like Shadow of the East or the I never remember the name of this Horns of the Reach.
Hearts of the Reach.
Yes, or White Gold Tower Imperial City. So those dungeons or the DLC dungeons are a little bit more difficult than every other dungeon you find in the game. The veteran version is supposed to be challenging for average player but doable, so for expert player it will be very easy still. It is a little bit less difficult than Shadow of the East or Horns of the Reach to adopt that, but it's what it says. But the hard mode is a lot harder. So the hard mode is really designed now for the player that really are excellent and need a challenge. So the developer, Rich Lumber, Mike Finnegan, Eric Robel, the combat designer, and the last
Bobby
one,
Weir.
Bobby,
Weir.
yeah, which is the interface designer. All of this little team were doing the dungeon, so they were doing veteran and they were, going through like a breeze. It was like, good player. But the last boss, they really struggled on it because the hard mode is seriously hard. Mike Finnegan has FUE himself, Fuffin himself. So that was cool. So which means that this challenge is really not for, the average player that didn't know what to do. It's normal if it's difficult. It's a real challenge, but anyone can do it if you put the effort into it. There's some bugs, of course, but those bugs are being fixed. That's our next subject.
So, should we talk about what we think or the bugs first?
What do you think about Dragonbone? What do you think of the Dragonbone release?
I really like it. I've had a lot of fun going through the dungeons on Veteran specifically. Normal, I think we sit in kind of that awkward phase where normal is just a bit too brainless, a bit too easy. And Veteran maybe sometimes is not impossible for us, but a lot more challenging. So there's... It's the extremes, It's either we've got no challenge or lots of challenge, which isn't a bad thing. But the normal mode, it was very fun discovering the dungeons the first time for sure. I really enjoy going through them on Veteran. I think there's lots of interesting boss fights, especially in Scale Caller, which is my favorite for sure.
Yeah, me too.
I really love some of the boss fights in that game. Plus, it is kind of a little Oblivion shite out in there as well. So I love it.
And it's Orsinium settings, Orsimer, ancient Orsimer ruins. So it's kind of nice because we didn't have a dungeon in this Orsimer architecture, so it was cool. The story is also very nice. We had a long discussion about Dragonbones with Delta and Sigtrix in Tamos from Tamriel. You can see the last episode on this channel or check it on YouTube if you prefer in Delta's Gaming YouTube channel. Personally, I really like it as well. I'm very interested by the dungeon, which is the highlight for me of this DLC, of this release. I know there is some life change, quality of life change, like the outfit thing. Outfit designer, you can create your own outfit. We have discussed about that a lot. You have the home storage, you have you have a new battleground as well that we have of course not experienced, and of course a lot of balance change. But the outfits, while I'm very happy it's there, I'm not really into that, weirdly enough. I know it surprised a lot of people.
No, I think it makes perfect sense, and I'd agree with you that I'm glad it's there for the people that do want it. But for me, I prefer to be in casual gear, whereas the outfit system doesn't give you that option. You have the option of different armors. So the costume system still makes more sense for me as a person or as a player.
Yeah.
But I'm certainly glad it's there. I mean, more features are better than less features for sure.
Okay, so we have a lot of reaction in the chat. Didn't have the time to follow up all of this.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm checking very fast if there's anything. Does hard mode have different mechanic, or is just more HP for the boss? That's an interesting question. There is different mechanic. So
Yes.
it's more difficult, not just because you need to have more DPS. You need to be in the challenge that they add in the fight. The fight is already very challenging because you really have different mechanics that you need to do and do well, even just in veteran. You cannot skip it with just good DPS, but with the hard mode it's even more difficult. So you really need to push yourself. Some people have succeeded, of course. Delta have done it, Six Trick I guess have done it, Ninja I think they have done it, but everyone have wiped a lot. So it's no joke. It's even very good player has wiped a lot.
Yeah,
So.
it introduces. I mean, there's as Elloa said, there's a lot of mechanics in the original veteran mode to begin with. You know, there's probably about 5 or 6 mechanics throughout the fight that kind of rotate. That practically doubles in hard mode. You've got extra mobs to deal with, but at the same time, these mobs are needed. They're part of the mechanics. So yeah, it's definitely much harder.
Indeed. So here we go. Bugs and issue. I'll let you start, Nicky.
Okay, well, I mean, there's been a lot of bugs, and I would say that we're probably not the experts on this kind of information, but we just mentioned a few big ones because there have been quite a lot of bugs with the new DLC. So one of the ones which Elloa experienced actually on our first veteran run of Scale Calder Peak was the caltrop / volley bug, which when you cast one of these ground effects, it would lock you up. You couldn't move, you couldn't do anything. That I believe has now been fixed. There was an interim fix which we discovered whilst playing, which was to turn on or to turn like the ground attacks from automatic to on, I believe it was.
Yep.
But this has now been fixed as of the patch that came out at the beginning of this week, or might have been last week actually. There was some weapon swap issues. Fixes have been rolled out, and they've already been added to the console patch, so console players don't have to worry about that. There have been some very long loading screens for Vardenfell and Clockwork City. People who are loading in and out of those areas. They were caused by some open or some malfunctioning doors somewhere within those zones, which is interesting. Again, those should be fixed by now. There was a big one with home storage, where if you put items in home storage chests, then deleted the characters, any bound items that character obtained presumably would be gone. I'm not sure if that's been fixed, but a lot of the bugs have been patched already or are in the process of being patched.
Yeah, for the home storage, it's fixed now, but yeah, and if you had an issue, you can contact the support so they can fix that with you and help you to obtain your item lost, probably.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll help.
And hello to everyone else that just joined. Hi Kai, thank you so much to be there. So now the interesting part. A very big, huge articles has been determined on the ESP blog, and I really suggest you to go check that if you're interested. We had already spoken about it. Some information had already been determined, so we really had a strong hint that the next chapter will be in Summerset Island. But here it's more than that. It's so obvious that you can be sure that it will be in Summerset Island. So some information that has been determined are the Summerset Island assets. It includes loading screen art, cities, main quest location, map files, texture files, model, and more information that were hidden on the PTS. There's even 2 dungeon files with different assets, and you can really recompose the dungeon yourself. There's also the Summerset prologue quest called Through a Veil Darkly. So that's this little quest that introduced a very new important patch. You had that for Morrowind. You also had that for another release, I don't remember now, but sometimes you have those little quests that introduce you to the new DLC that's coming up or the new chapter. But there's some information that are very exciting. So all of this is speculation made up from files that has been discovered. So nothing is set in stone. Some interpretation can be wrong, but it seems that there will be first a lot of the story will happen around the psychic order. We will be visiting the Artaeum. It includes the Sephora Tower. There's even model of this tower that has been determined, the Dreaming Cave, which gave access to different realm of oblivion. It has been used by Sotasil to do the Cold Harbor Pact. There's also the Spiral Scan, or the realm of Mephala, and so we know that Mephala is really involved, and that we know through the story of Clockwork City. So all of this makes sense. But here's the big news. It seems that there will be a skill line for the Psychic Order, but maybe even a class. And it has been supposed because the logo of the Psychic were more fitting a class, like you have the Warden and the Templar logo, than just a skill line. So it will be possible that we have a Psychic class, or at least a Psychic skill line. And some of the spell has been determined as well. There will be a time stop ability, a sort of rewind ability, maybe like Tracer. It was the guess were something like this, that you can just recall yourself and go back in time a little bit, something like this. There's also a healing ability for the Psychic skill line. There will be also jewel crafting. And lastly, some character has been determined, notably Mephala. Maybe we'll have a fight against her, and Darian Gauthier, who will be maybe come back as a Knight of Meridia, which is also hinted by the Clockwork City questline, stayed by the Grand Prognosticator. Sorry, that word is hard.
Prognosticator.
Yeah.
Okay, some brief other details then in terms of the size of the chapter. So for those that don't know, the maps that you look at in game, they're measured in, or they're made up of tiles or cells. So to give you an idea, Summerset Isles is going to be 144 map cells. Vardenfell was 81, which means that it's going to be around 50, in terms of land mass, it's going to be around 50% larger than the Vardenfell zone, which is really cool. We're going to give you a link in a minute to the full blog. There's far more information than we could give you here, including lots of screenshots, lots of information about quests and abilities, and any kind of speculation that they might have. There's lots of new creature combat animation files, for example, things like coral crabs and Mephala, which suggests again that they are going to be in the chapter in the chapter in some shape. There's also a lot of files there about jewelry crafting, so if you want more information on that, you can go check it out, and I'll link that to you now.
We have a very nice question from Nabil. Why this info has been leaked? Can they not include useless asset in their client? Well, this is something the developers does. There is probably a part of it that is done for some, I don't know, programming reason or development reason, but it is also considered that it's done intently for data miner to find something so they can leak information and generate the hype.
Yeah.
Yes, this is something, it's a technique that Blizzard is doing very often. When there is information that is being data mined in Blizzard game, World of Warcraft, it's not done by mistake. It is done intently. It's calculated. They only release the information they want to share. Just enough to make you excited about something. So
yeah,
that's about it. Okay, so now we will continue with some community news. So I would like to speak about the work of Tianlan. A lot of you know Tianlan work. She's releasing regular content for the Elder Scrolls Online, mostly motif previews, but also different kind of guides. It's generally around fashion and stuff like that, homestead or the new outfit system. I think she had been very enthusiastic. And now she is opening a sort of, it's not a contest, but she would like to create some video that show off different outfits proposed by the community. So this is a community work. So you can see the video that she has published where she is announcing this project. She would like to create 1 video or 2 video by month presenting a different outfit created by the community. For that, you need to record your character, and there is some very specific conditions. I'm going to read them to you. You need to record your character front, back and side, 20 seconds per view. And you can also give some footage of your character walking or doing emotes, etc. You need also to record the outfit station screen, show each used style, used dice and the total outfit application cost. It's suggested to record in daytime with a high quality video and hide interface when applicable. Of course, the console player cannot do that. So once the video is done, you publish it unlisted or public on YouTube, and you send a mail with to Tianlan with the following information. First, the link of the video, the thought and story behind the outfit, the account name, character name, platform and server, used armor and weapon style, used dice, outfit application cost, and also the mention I give Tianlan the right to use this video. So it's a very nice project. I wonder if there's a lot of people that are going to record this, because I think it will be interesting for the gaming community. And this is something that we see already in other games. For example, Final Fantasy XIV has a very strong glamour community that shares screenshots and the likes. Will we have the same thing in the Elder Scrolls Online? We will have to see. Anyway, go check our channel.
Yeah, I've linked the video for anybody wanting more information or wanting the same information but maybe a little bit slower, so you can read through it and stuff. And yeah, go check out the video.
Yeah. So now, do we have still a mud crab to give away?
We are very, very low on mud crabs. Let me see. Not really. All we've got left are some PS4 ones.
Okay, so I guess it's pointless to do it first this week.
Unless there's specifically more than one PS4 player in the chat right now, we'll have to get some.
Yes, giveaway will resume next week. So do we have any question before we go organize our trial run?
I think I didn't really know what had been data mined until we started speaking about it today, preparing for the ESO news. And it's kind of big, you know. A new class or skill line. I guess we'll have to wait and see what that one is. Obviously the zone, which we kind of knew about anyway, but jewelry crafting, that's my second thing, and the gardening that I want.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I've been saying for like the last 2 or 3 years, like where is jewelry crafting? Surely that would be easy to add. But yeah, it's nice to see it's finally being added.
Interesting comment from Xene Gamer. I do wonder if this fashion element of MMO recently is really needed. Well, this is not something that has been starting immediately in the history of MMORPG too. It has always been the idea that you had fancy gear that were very hard to obtain, so you could, you know, walk around in the main city and everyone will be, wow, where did you got that beautiful sword? So it has always been part, in a way, from the MMORPG style, the idea of having a very nice and fancy outfit. So I think this is something that has come to life because players wanted it. Players that were playing in MMORPG wanted to show themselves differently. It's probably started with role player, but it has, you know, expanded to everyone. So World of Warcraft was not very early to implement their transmogrification system, but you had this kind of system in Age of Conan, Wildstar, Star Wars: The Old Republic. Every game sort of have it, so you can not wear the awful gear that you have while leveling, or even at endgame, but what you really want to looks like. I think it's a normal wishes of players, because if you remember, when you play a game and you just equip the gear you loot and it looks awful, you're kind of frustrated. And I remember that especially in World of Warcraft, when they released the first expansion, Burning Crusade. So all players ended, because they were raiding, by obtaining a coordinated set of armor that were more pleasing and looking a little bit more badass. And then all those powerful players started to level through the zone of the next expansion and started to have a green chest piece and stupid spolder and awful gloves and stuff that were mismatching. And this has served as meme a lot. So I think it all makes sense.
I think, I kind of understand what you're saying, because, there's part of me embraces these kind of dress-up wardrobe things within games, for comedy value, like I'm doing with Bob Ross, or, for other kind of minor reasons. I can honestly say that if they removed all clothing and individuality from this game tomorrow and everybody looked the same, as long as you're all Argonians, I don't think I'd really care that much. But at the same time, it is an MMORPG, the emphasis on RPG. I think it's very important to be able to get that sense of individuality when you're playing a character in an RPG. That's kind of what they're about. And as much as I'm not super interested in them, that clothing and appearance strongly comes into that.
Yeah, and I think it's expand the life of the game as well, because it gave a purpose to people. When they have done everything in the game, they will have this motive to get, or this one piece of gear to transmog. It really gives them another quest to do. And also for role players, is of course a very useful tools, because they can illustrate the character and what they are doing and get immersed more into their own story by having an outfit that fits their character. And for other people, I don't know, a lot of gamers don't really pay attention to how they are clothing in real life, but they enjoy to have their character very neat. I guess that there's a part of vanity that can express itself there easily, because it's a computer game. You do not need to purchase expensive clothes and have a new haircut every month.
Yeah, I understand, Zine Gamer. I mean, at the end of the day, let's be real. These cosmetic systems with clothing and costumes and all that kind of other stuff is something not just ZeniMax, any game studio can implement in a game with relative ease, but maximum profits. So you have to be, they have to balance that well with adding actual game content that's not cosmetic. Because it's all very easy to get caught up in, hey guys, we can spend a week, making a bunch of cool outfits and make $100,000, or we can spend 3 months making a DLC and make the same money. But at the end of the day, you've got to balance it, because one without the other doesn't work.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I think we have discussed enough. Thank you so much to have watched this episode. We are continuing the show, of course. We are just saying goodbye for the YouTuber that are watching us, our YouTube viewers, exactly. So thanks a lot for watching, and we will see you next time. If you want to follow us live, just join on Twitch TV and get us a follow. We are doing those ESO news live every Wednesday, or one Wednesday on 2. So every other Wednesday at 21 Central Europe time, which is 3 p.m. Eastern time. So yes. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Bye.